Alright guys, CDL here back again today. Hope you're all enjoying whatever day this is going live, because I'm recording this a few days in advance of whenever it is required. But today, we're going to be talking about the spiciest rivalries in the upcoming CDL season. There's definitely a few to come to mind. I think I came up with like 11. Some of them are probably spicy, some of them are just kind of things to keep your eyes on as we go through the season, and some kind of rivalries that maybe we've seen in the past but aren't a massive deal. Starting, I guess, with the first one. But yeah, today we're going to go through that. Really intrigued to hear your thoughts on which you think is the most important, which one you're keeping your eyes on the most in the comment section below, with the season coming up very, very shortly indeed. So like, if you guys enjoy, I would greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the video and the channel more generally, the YouTube algorithm. Just hitting the like button makes honestly a huge difference. Yeah, more than a lot of people realize. And yeah, subscribe as well if you guys are new and would like to see more of this type of content. I would greatly appreciate it. Let's hop right into it. Firstly, this is what I wanted to come up with. So effectively, this is what we're going to go through. A few of these videos, these are all the teams in the league, 12 teams, and under phase Huntsman. We know the drill by now. OpTic Gaming Los Angeles versus the Seattle Surge I thought was an interesting one, given the 100 Thieves team that we had in the past season. It is kind of split up. So Kenny and Slasher from that team, or on the OpTic Gaming Los Angeles team, and Nabel and Octane have gone on to the Surge. I was just going to, you know, go this with Octane versus Slasher, because they've been a duo for a little bit now in the Black Ops 4 season. Don't know if I said World War II a second ago, but 100 Thieves in the Black Ops 4 season, fantastic team, best team of the year, I guess you could argue. United maybe would want to take that crown given they won playoffs and champs, which also is definitely arguable. But regardless, they had a fantastic year. Who will come out on top, given what, you know, Enable and Octane did for Kenny and Slasher last season? Can they get the better of them still? It's going to be an interesting thing to keep your eye on. But let's move on, because there's some more things to discuss here. So Hook versus Temp I thought was a good one, because these guys, of course, teaming on that Splice team last season, also teaming way back in the day in Advanced Warfare as well. These guys have yet to win a championship in Call of Duty on their own. You know, to what degree are you going to claim that these weekend events are championships, given that all 12 teams are there? To some degree, they're like a minor championship. They can't really be considered like a major championship, because not every team was there. But to some degree, we kind of have to count them, because otherwise all we have is champs every single season. But regardless, or at least, you know, at the current stand of things. So, you know, which of these players will be first to win a game? Like New York Subliners, Dallas Empire. I guess Dallas Empire are favourites right now, but Subliners apparently are up there in terms of the overall team rankings, as a lot of people would see it right now. So interesting to see which of Hook and Temp gets on the board first in terms of winning one of these weekend events, because I guarantee one of these teams will surely get at least one at some point. This is another one then, Huntsman versus Mutineers, in terms of Arcetes versus Pristini, the two twin brothers. The other two twin brothers, being Wuskin and Scraps, are on the same team. This is the first time in a long time, as Arcetes said in the campaign, the first episode of that, which came out a while ago now, Arcetes versus Pristini. It's the first time they've really not teamed together in a very long time. It was considered for a while, but of course they stuck together on United, won the World Championships, and then Pristini was in an interesting spot of not really getting picked up. People didn't really necessarily want to play with him, and then he said, okay, he's put together a squad of underdog, I guess talent which isn't really considered to be that good, but on the whole, this could be a really nasty team. So it's going to be interesting to see. Of course, Huntsman and Arcetes have the favour here between the Huntsman and the Mutineers, but that'll be a really interesting matchup to see those two twins go head to head, because I'm sure there's some brotherly love and some brotherly rivalry there from a very early age. So that's something to keep your eyes on, and this is another one as well. So I wanted to go through the kind of mediocre ones before we get into the spicy stuff. Simp versus Illy, just in the case of, you know, Simp, and I guess you can throw Kenny into the mix here. Kenny was probably the player of the season in World War II. He was the breakout rookie of the year, also arguably, probably guaranteed actually, the player of the year. Gunless probably a close second. This year, Simp came onto the scene late in the season, but absolutely took it over. Best player of the season by far in the latter half. And, you know, who else are you putting up there as players of the year? Probably Nashi and Octane, but a lot of people would say Simp was the player of the year in this season. Really, the question now is, Illy is the guy that's coming onto the scene, touted to be the next Simp, the next Kenny, the biggest name we've had on the scene, and finally being able to play in years. So seeing how exactly he matches up to his expectations compared to Simp and Celium and those guys, is going to be really interesting to see. Definitely keep your eyes on that one. This is a big one then, so getting right into it, Scump versus Crimsix. We've heard all the drama about this over the last couple of weeks or so. Really, it's been going on for a long time, from Crimsix making a video saying, I'll never forgive, I'll forgive but I'll never forget, or whatever exactly he said, and Scump kind of mocking it, and then recently saying, you know, Dallas Empire's cocky, I was tired of getting yelled at on that team, my teammates underperformed at champs, I didn't want to play with, effectively saying I didn't want to play with Crim anymore, Gilmore. This is a great rivalry to keep your eyes on, because Crimsix really right now is arguably the villain of the scene. The Dallas Empire team, a lot of people like them, which is great because we're going to have so many good rivalries this season between fans and everything. And, you know, getting behind which side of those that OpTic duo that you wanted to see. Scump and Crim are like the longest teaming duo ever in Call of Duty from way back in the Advanced Warfare days. Now they're separated. It seems to be a bit of beef between them. Two of arguably the strongest teams in the game. So this is going to be great to see. Two absolute legends of Call of Duty. Probably like number 1, number 2 players of all time. Depending on how you rank it, you can throw Karma in there for sure. And even then, it's not like there's no drama between Karma and the rest of these guys. Given, I guess, what Scump and Crimsix arguably did to Karma in the World War II season, forcing him out of the team when they brought Methods and Octane in. So really interesting to see, and I guess that's a rivalry that I didn't highlight here, but something to keep your eyes on as well. Actually, I think maybe I did in a couple of minutes' time. But yeah, Scump versus Crimsix, two of the most storied players in Call of Duty. Clearly a very hot rivalry between these two right now, so that's probably the key one. Huntsman versus the Empire, for me, is the matchup to watch out for this season. Not just because of this rivalry, but that's a big one. There's going to be fireworks on main stage when these two go at it, whichever way it goes down. Clayster versus JKap is another massive one. Let's not forget in this recent Black Ops 4 season, the whole E-United, JKap getting kicked off the team effectively, talking about how Clayster's manipulating the subreddit, and a lot of stuff went down and a lot of drama. You know, JKap says Clayster was even the COD burner at that time, let's not forget. So, you know, crazy scenes. Clearly there's still some bad blood here as well, and another two really solid teams. Like, Clayster is a guy who's just rejuvenated his career, won the World Championships again, and has proved that, you know, he's not dead weight by any means and really is an important factor. JKap still has that to prove right now in Los Angeles. This is going to be a really interesting one to keep your eyes on, especially given, in theory, Dallas Empire and OpTic Gaming LA should be pretty damn solid teams. OpTic Gaming obviously haven't been doing so well online in theory so far, but yeah, definitely should be a good rivalry, and one once again, it is very storied and something that's definitely going to carry over from previous seasons. So this is another one, Aches versus the entirety of the OpTic Gaming, I guess the OpTic Gaming brand more generally, because OpTic Gaming now still exists in Call of Duty, but let's not forget, in theory, Aches is the kryptonite of OpTic Gaming, right? Has always knocked them out of the key moments, has always just had his maximum power, I guess. He reaches true 100% power when he goes up against OpTic Gaming. Does that still continue without Scump, without Crimsix, without Karma, without that kind of core team on the squad? Who knows, right? As it did in World War II and in previous seasons with the Aches versus OpTic name, Black Ops 3 especially is a key one, right? Will that still happen with OpTic Gaming under this kind of new branding, new heading, new logo? We'll have to see. Definitely an interesting thing to keep your eyes on, though. There's not particular beef, I guess, with any of these individuals against Aches as a player, even though Aches versus Slasher, I think, is a kind of spicy one. But regardless, Aches is obviously a very polarizing kind of Marmite figure in the community, right? You either love him or you're either like, you know, you really can't get over some of the things that he's done in the past and some of the wounds he's inflicted on the OpTic Gaming name and the OpTic Gaming franchise over the years. Few more to discuss then. Crimsix versus TJ and Dashi is another big one between the Dallas Empire and OpTic Gaming LA. Of course, Crimsix talking about how, you know, so childish TJ and Dashi, they kept coming along late. That video that came out kind of recently from OpTic Gaming when they announced Pac-Man as the coach, and they were saying like, oh, you know, it looks like we're late, but at least Crimsix isn't here to yell at us kind of thing. And that was kind of funny. I guess at least they're making light of the situation. At the end of the day, it seems like they're clear. Obviously, it's a bit of banter, right? Obviously, they're pretty clear that, you know, we can't turn up late this season, at least because they're recognizing that as an issue. Is a good start for OpTic Gaming Los Angeles for sure, but still, Crimsix versus DJ and Dashi was a big deal at the end of the OpTic Gaming team from last season, which kind of fell apart, and you know, now they're on different teams, so this matchup is going to be even more spicier for that reason. If TJ and Dashi get one over on Crimsix, they're definitely going to be loving it, and as is the other way around as well. So this one right up there, to be honest, with Crimsix versus Scump, and some really big names here that have decided to team together, especially because Crim left OpTic Gaming Los Angeles as well, and there's rumours that Dashi even kind of got stuck here and would have wanted to go to Chicago Huntsman if he could. Clayster with Abizi and Simp is an interesting one. Not a particular rivalry, I think there's a lot of mutual respect between these guys, but it's an interesting situation they find themselves in, given that Clayster had Abizi and Simp last season, had all this success, won the World Championship, and now he has like Illy and Shotzi as his new young gun kind of guys to bring up and make into superstars. He managed it with Abizi and Simp, two of probably the top 5 players last season for sure. You know, can Clayster do it again with other talents? And if Abizi and Simp get one over on Clayster, are they going to be thinking, well, you know, good job we left this old man behind. We were the reason we won this team, right? I can imagine thoughts like that would go through their heads. So that's something to keep your eyes on as well. Honestly, So much to discuss here. I'd be really intrigued to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below, as always. Few more then before we finish still. I think a couple more. This one between Crimsix and Aches, just a legendary rivalry, right? All the way back in the Complexity days, the Evil Geniuses days, world champions on the same team, on different teams, of course, since then. And yeah, Aches 2 times world champion, Crimsix 2 times world champion. What will happen this season? Who knows? In theory, Dallas Empire right now are one of the very strongest teams. The Los Angeles Guerrillas don't look as strong on paper, but they still do have some great potential, especially, let's not forget, this is a boots on the ground title. This is a slower paced game. Aches and Lacefield have had great success in the past. The most recent season, of course, you know, Accra and Decimate have been really strong players as well, and if Saints can roll back the years a little bit, he could definitely have some impact for sure. Bevels is still on this team as a coach. He's had some, you know, great effect in the World Championship win back in the World War II days, and, you know, they seem to have a decent coaching staff behind them as well. So Crimsix versus Aches is always a fun one. When these guys go at it, fireworks tend to fly. We'll have to see, because we talked about Aches versus OpTic Gaming. Was it really Aches versus OpTic Gaming, or was it Aches versus Crim? Because that's how Aches likes to picture it in his mind. He's like, I've always got Crimsix's number, he's always worried about me, and maybe for good reason. And it would be great to see if the Los Angeles Guerrillas, despite being maybe a middle lower tier team, depends how it works out, can really get one over on some of the big dogs when it matters. It would be really cool to see, and definitely some crazy upset potential in this team. So I'm pretty sure this is the final one to look at then, which is something I mentioned a little bit earlier, is Karma versus the old OpTic Gaming dynasty. Quite interesting to see that Dallas Empire and the Huntsmen, and, you know, these first 3 teams are effectively considered the strongest 3 teams right now, kind of without a doubt. Pretty much most people say that these 3 teams, in some order or another, are the strongest team going into Minnesota. However, the Seattle Surge is a team that some people thought would be pretty damn good. I can see this team, to be honest, getting better in the latter half of the season, but Karma's in an interesting predicament here, right? Given that a lot of people consider him to be, you know, the best, or one of the very best of all time, top 3 arguably, with, you know, Scump and Crimsix, and a key piece, of course, of their dynasty run over those years. World champion, 3-time world champion, of course, himself, the only player to have won it 3 times. But now he finds himself on this Surge team with kind of older players, not so many young guns like the likes of Envoy, you know, Hugili and Shotzi, different kind of team he finds himself on. So a lot really to prove, I guess, for Karma, given that right now Scump, Crimsix and Formal and Karma, a lot of people, you know, they interchange them in terms of their top 3 players of all time. Some people have it differently, but, you know, most people would put those 3 players as their top 3 of all time, but the order changes a lot. If a couple of seasons go by where Karma not having too much success, these guys are going to pull away from him if Huntsman and Empire, you know, do a good job in this upcoming season. So that's another thing to keep your eyes on as well, how Karma kind of cements his legacy. But yeah, that's what I wanted to discuss today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like if you did, subscribe if you're new. As always, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching as always. I'll see you next time.